The year is 1919. The Great War has ended. Germany lies in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles imposes harsh penalties. Germany loses territory. Its military is restricted and it faces massive reparations. The German people are demoralized and angry. They feel betrayed and humiliated. The economy is in shambles, with hyperinflation plunging millions into poverty. Political instability reigns as extremist groups battle for control. Many Germans cling to the stab-in-the-back myth. A charismatic leader, Adolf Hitler, is waiting in the wings. Adolf Hitler was born in 1889 in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary. His childhood was marked by family strife and academic struggles. He resented his strict father, a customs official. His relationship with his mother was close and affectionate. After his father's death, Hitler dropped out of school and drifted aimlessly. In Vienna, he immersed himself in German nationalism and anti-Semitic literature. Vienna was a melting pot of cultures and ideologies. It was also rife with anti-Semitism. These years shaped Hitler's worldview and fueled his hatred. In 1914, World War I erupted, engulfing Europe in a conflagration that would claim millions of lives. Hitler, eager to prove his patriotism, volunteered for the German army. He served as a dispatch runner, a dangerous job that exposed him to the horrors of trench warfare. Hitler's experience in the trenches had a profound impact on him. He embraced the camaraderie of his fellow soldiers and reveled in the thrill of combat. The war for Hitler was a transformative experience, forging his character and shaping his destiny. However, the war also left him deeply scarred. He was wounded twice, gassed in the trenches, and temporarily blinded. The defeat of Germany in 1918 left him feeling betrayed and humiliated. He refused to believe that Germany had lost the war on the battlefield, clinging instead to the stab-in-the-back myth. As Germany descended into chaos and despair, Hitler found a new purpose in politics. He joined a small right-wing extremist group called the German Workers' Party, drawn to its nationalist, anti-Semitic and anti-communist ideology. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the party's most effective speaker and propagandist. In 1923, emboldened by his growing popularity and sensing an opportunity amidst the turmoil gripping Germany, Hitler attempted to seize power in a brazen coup d'état. The Beer Hall Putsch, as it became known, was a poorly planned and ultimately doomed attempt to overthrow the government in Bavaria. On November 8, 1923, Hitler and his followers stormed into a crowded beer hall in Munich, where the Bavarian government was holding a meeting. Hitler fired a shot into the air and declared a national revolution. However, the coup quickly unraveled. The Bavarian authorities...
This video was proudly sponsored by One Browser. Don't miss out. One Browser is the must-have tool of 2024. Try it now. Thanks, gentlemen. Let's get back to our lovely video.
Initially caught off guard, rallied their forces and crushed the rebellion. Hitler and several of his co-conspirators were arrested and charged with treason. The trial, which received widespread media attention, gave Hitler a platform to propagate his nationalist and anti-Semitic views. The Nazi Party's rise. Despite the failure of the Beer Hall Putsch, it was a turning point for Hitler. His trial transformed him into a national figure. In prison, he dictated Mein Kampf, outlining his ideology. It combined extreme nationalism, anti-Semitism, and Aryan superiority. After prison, Hitler aimed to seize power legally. The Nazi Party's popularity soared amid Germany's economic depression. Their message resonated with millions of desperate Germans. In 1932, the Nazis became the largest party in the Reichstag. Section 6 consolidating control, Hitler's grip on Germany. In January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg, a World War I hero and aging figurehead, appointed Adolf Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Hindenburg and his conservative allies believed they could control Hitler and use him to achieve their own political goals. They were gravely mistaken. Hitler, a master manipulator, quickly consolidated his power. He exploited a fire at the Reichstag building to suspend civil liberties and crack down on his political opponents. The Enabling Act, passed by an intimidated Reichstag, gave Hitler's government dictatorial powers. With ruthless efficiency, Hitler eliminated all opposition. Political parties were banned, trade unions were abolished, and the press was muzzled. The Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, terrorized the population, arresting and imprisoning anyone suspected of opposition to the regime. Germany, once a flawed but functioning democracy, was transformed into a totalitarian state. All aspects of society, from education and culture to economics and the judiciary, were brought under Nazi control. Propaganda permeated every aspect of life, glorifying Hitler and the Nazi Party. Section 7. A Reign of Terror, Nazi Policies and the Holocaust. The Nazi regime implemented a series of policies designed to create a racially pure Aryan society. Jews, considered the ultimate enemy, were subjected to systematic persecution. The Nuremberg laws, enacted in 1935, stripped Jews of their citizenship and imposed numerous restrictions on their lives. Jews were banned from certain professions, prohibited from marrying or having sexual relations with Aryans, and their businesses were boycotted and confiscated. Synagogues were desecrated or destroyed, Jewish books were burned, and Jewish cemeteries were vandalized. The persecution of Jews escalated on Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, on November 9th to 10th, 1938. Nazi thugs, aided by ordinary Germans, rampaged through Jewish communities across Germany and Austria, burning synagogues, looting businesses, and beating Jews in the streets. Kristallnacht marked a turning point in the Nazis' persecution of Jews, signaling a shift from discrimination and legal persecution to outright violence. It was a prelude to the horrors that would follow during World War II, when the Nazi regime implemented the final solution, the systematic genocide of European Jews. Section 8. The tide turns key battles of World War II. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. Hitler's armies, using blitzkrieg, swept through Poland, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. In June 1941, Hitler launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. The German army was eventually bogged down in a brutal war on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Stalingrad marked Germany's first major defeat. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, bringing the United States into the war. The entry of the United States tipped the balance of power in favor of the Allies. The tide of the war turned against Germany in 1943. In the West, Allied forces landed in Normandy on June 6, 1944, opening a second front against Germany. Section 9. The Fall of the Third Reich, Hitler's demise. As Allied forces closed in on Berlin from both the east and west, Hitler's grip on power began to crumble. The German people, exhausted by years of war and increasingly disillusioned with the Nazi regime, began to turn against their leader. Hitler, holed up in his underground bunker in Berlin, refused to accept defeat. He continued to issue delusional orders to his generals, convinced that Germany could still achieve victory. As Soviet troops stormed the streets above, Hitler married his longtime mistress, Eva Braun, and then committed suicide. On May 7, 1945, Germany surrendered unconditionally to the Allies. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, was over. The Nazi regime, responsible for the deaths of millions, lay in ruins. Section 10. The Unforgettable Stain, Hitler's Legacy. Adolf Hitler's legacy is one of unparalleled evil. His name is synonymous with the horrors of the Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews and millions of others deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. The Holocaust was a crime of unprecedented scale and brutality, a stain on the conscience of humanity. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of hatred, prejudice, and indifference. Hitler's ideology, a toxic brew of anti-Semitism, racism, and extreme nationalism, led to unimaginable suffering and destruction. The world was forever changed by the horrors of World War II. In the aftermath of the conflict, international organizations such as the United Nations were established to prevent future atrocities. The Nuremberg trials, held in 1945 to 1946, established the principle that individuals could be held accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Section 11, Never Again, Lessons from the Holocaust. The Holocaust stands as a stark warning to humanity. It reminds us of the fragility of civilization and the ever-present danger of hatred, prejudice, and discrimination. The lessons of the Holocaust are as relevant today as they were in the aftermath of World War II. We must never forget the victims of the Holocaust, nor the survivors who bear witness to its horrors. We must remain vigilant against all forms of intolerance and discrimination. We must speak out against hatred and injustice wherever they occur. The Holocaust teaches us that silence is complicity. We have a moral obligation to stand up for what is right and to challenge those who seek to divide us. We must never forget the words never again and strive to create a world where such atrocities are never repeated.